I know that several of you have had questions about repinning lately, and as of the recording of this video in May 2024, repinning is a practice that I utilize on client accounts as well as my own account, and I definitely suggest it. I know that this is really a hot topic in the Pinterest community, and some Pinterest strategists have other thoughts on this, but with the massive amount of data that I have across a large amount of accounts and different niches and things like that, we see that repinning does help, but it needs to be done strategically and methodically and not in just a way to just kind of dump a large amount of pins out on a routine basis. We want to make sure that we're doing this strategically. So the first thing that I always suggest when repinning is go into your top pins. So you can look in Pinterest analytics, you can look in your ad dashboard to see what posts have the highest RPMs. You can even look at your Google Analytics to see what posts are doing well. But the place that I rely on is the Pinterest Analytics dashboard, just to kind of tell me the top pins for my site, for a client site over the last 30, even 90 days. And one thing that I will say is some of those pins may be seasonal. So if a pin is out of season or it's maybe for a holiday that's already passed, obviously we're not repinning that currently, but we're looking at evergreen pins. And so I personally utilize Tailwind. I teach about this in my course. I talk about this often. You can use whatever scheduler you want. I do find that Tailwind is the easiest scheduler for repinning. You can also, if you have the mobile app for Pinterest, that's going to be your easiest way to kind of live repin. And when you want to repin on the mobile app, you just simply go to a pin that's already existing on your profile. Again, looking at your analytics, you kind of do a long press and then you just click the pin button and you can save it to a different board. Repinning on desktop is a little bit more difficult using the Pinterest scheduler because when you click here, if you change it to a different board, it essentially moves that pin to a different board versus repinning it. So to essentially repin using the Pinterest scheduler, you will need to right click, save the image, and then essentially re-upload it. You can then, of course, change the title, the description, the link, things like that. But it does make it a little bit more time consuming to repin using the Pinterest scheduler, especially on desktop. So like I said, the two easiest options are going to be just live kind of repinning through the Pinterest app on your mobile device, or also utilizing Tailwind, which is what I utilize. And to repin on Tailwind, I have the Tailwind browser extension. You just simply click it, and then this Tailwind extension here that I'm hovering over, and then it will pull it up and you just schedule it through there. And I have a whole course, kind of mini course in my Pinterest course on utilizing Tailwind, how to schedule, things like that. But essentially, I like to repin them to relevant boards. Also, if you're on group boards that are top performing, you can repin them there. For my top performing evergreen pins, I like to have these pins going out on a routine basis. So at least a couple of times a month. Again, we're doing this strategically. We're doing this methodically. We're not just dumping, for example, this pin that I'm showing you. We're not just sending it out to 27 different boards back to back, day after day. That's obviously not a good user experience, but we're kind of methodically. So maybe today it goes out to a crock pot board, maybe and say 3 to 5 days, even 7 days. I do like a 7-day interval. It's going out to a summer dinner board, things like that. And then also, as you're creating new boards, you have some of these pins that will likely fit kind of into those categories, into those new boards that you're creating. And so it's always a good idea to add these there as well, because somebody may land on your, for example, summer dinner recipe board, and we want to make sure that our pins are there as well for them to see kind of that content that we have, things like that. So that is the way that I repin. As far as just kind of evergreen ongoing content, I like to keep a spreadsheet of when was the last time I pinned it and just kind of schedule those pins out. Again, kind of keeping them going on a routine basis. It's completely up to you how you organize that. I'm also, especially for client sites, I'm looking at what's upcoming trending, how that works within the schedule. Is there, for example, right now, are there peach recipes? Are there things like that? Seasonal things, 4th of July, content like that we need to be repinning that maybe hasn't been pinned since last year because it is a very seasonal topic. And so those are things that I'm continually looking for, and we're repinning. You can also re-optimize your titles, your descriptions, things like that. But Like I said, I know that this is kind of a hot topic in the Pinterest community, but the entire platform is built on repinning. They want users to repin our content, things like that. So as long as you're doing it in a strategic and methodical way, it's a really good way to re-rotate your content. To obviously, we want to still be creating fresh graphics, fresh pins, fresh content, things like that. But adding some repinning into your strategy can really help, especially older pins, especially if they didn't gain traction or maybe they've kind of dipped, things like that. It's a really good way to kind of re-rotate that content, because I do see some profiles that are only creating new pins, and that may work for a good while to kind of see some good metrics, but then after a while it seems like the new pins just kind of flatline. And a lot of what we see with that is there is no re-rotation of pins to new boards, things like that. We're just kind of getting in this routine of just creating a bunch of new pins. And at the end of the day, that's not the best user experience for Pinterest users. We definitely, like I said, want fresh content for sure. I'm a full advocate of that. But we also want to make sure that we're continually re-optimizing our older content as well and recirculating that for Pinterest users. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.